Lisa here from Continental Drift Knits, and welcome to, I think it's episode 11 of CDK podcast, as I am on Ravelry or Continental Drift Knits. You'll find me on YouTube and Instagram as. So welcome back. As you can see, I'm in New Zealand still. Yes. I can't believe I had to think about that. Oh, and I've been making, and it's funny, I was thinking it's about 2 weeks since I've done an episode, and I sort of think I'd be knitting away and I'd be thinking, oh, I'll just get this done. And then I'll do an episode, and I'll just get this done, and I'll do an episode then, you know. And then I thought, well, no, it's not a competition. I don't have to do anything. And if it's 20 minutes long, that's fine. It's not going to be 20 minutes long. But I don't have a lot of FOs. But I do have some successes. I also have some failures. And I have lots of whips. I cast on things. I cast on multiple things. And I already have 3 jumpers going. So I'm a bit of a disaster area in terms of numbers of whips at the moment, but in true podcast style, if I start with the weather, we are having freezing weather here. It's sitting at 0 -1. We've had a few warmer days. We've topped out at 8 degrees C. I'll just move this and you can see my view, which I'm very lucky to have. And basically it's about 5 degrees outside there now. And yeah, so it's been cold. So what I'm wearing today is not anything knitted. Well, not my knitting, industrial knitting anyway. So this is my new merino thermal top, and I'm very happy with that. It's by Icebreaker. It's a 3/4 or quarter zip or third zip or something, I forget what it's called. And this was recommended to me by Lisa at Unwind and Knit With Me, who has a podcast in Christchurch. And I reached out to her and I said, what thermals do you use here? So I got myself some pants as well, some thermal pants. We'll be going up to the snow. We haven't had much snow because we haven't had any rain, so haven't had any precipitation, so it hasn't precipitated any snow, and for a number of weeks now. So they're a bit nervous up on the hills, but hopefully in the next month that'll come. We'll see. And we have family coming over in about a month's time, and that should be fun. And yeah, taking grandkids up to the snow. So I thought I need some thermals. I'm also wearing, so I'll let you know, I don't do headbands very often, but I'm wearing sorry about the hair, it's a bit crazy. I'm wearing a merino headband. And basically these are, I've bought a couple more, they're called a Merino Frank headband. They're made in New Zealand, and they're just a very, very fine fabric. And yeah, I'm enjoying those. They're really warm, very soft. They're really warm on the tops of my ears, and I'm enjoying that. So yeah, a bit of a daggy look, but anyway, that's all right. I can do what I like. It's fine. So let's talk about what knitting I've managed to do over the last 2 weeks. I have finished a pair of socks, which I was very, very pleased with. And my Frankenstein heels, because I have, if you remember, so I look back and it's episode 2 that I talk about heels and how I have a problem because this part of the sock, when I do a short row heel, this part of the sock is ridiculously tight. And so I have a few mechanisms or a few methods for making that a little bit more functional. So my toe looks like that. As I said, it's a bit of a Frankenstein looking toe. I mean, heel, people. Heel, I'm saying toe. So essentially what I do is I crib more than halfway. So I've taken 3 extra stitches there, 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 and there. So I have 12 extra stitches on the needles, then half and half. I also do a series of rows before I start any action. Then I do a little gusset with German short rows to just give me a little bit more depth there. Now and then I do a few more rows, straight knitting, and then I go into a 4, 3, 2, 1 toe, which is how I do my heel, and then kitchen at the top. Now, I've done 2, and I modified the second one slightly, but I've actually decided now I'm going to try an immediate decrease just after the gusset, because I feel like there's just a little bit too much fabric in this section. So this needs to be a little bit finer. And if I could come in 4 stitches before I start the heel decreases, then I might just have a little bit less fabric, because what I need is the depth. I don't necessarily need the width. Now, you can see what a Frankenstein sort of toe this is. What I'm going to do, am I going to point you down? I don't know what I can do. I might have to put in footage, but we'll see. I've got my Frank New Zealand merino possum socks on. I bought them. So if I put on my sock, this is Shirley Bryan yarns done on 2mm needles. I need to do a fairly tight gauge. My foot doesn't stick up there very easily. So as you can see, I have just the slightest bit of tightness. I have a little bit of, when I start walking around in them, I just have a little bit of extra fabric here. It's not much. In fact, on this one, it sort of doesn't look like much at all. So maybe I won't do the decrease. I'd like to try it and see, but you can see essentially how that gusset gives me that extra distance there on either side to cope with my instep. But I'm very happy with those. I'll try and insert a picture up here. Hang on. I'm going to put my other sock back on. So, you can see, even though they're a Frankenstein heel, they fit lovely. So, I have one pair of socks. I have another tube that I finished. And so I have another pair that are heelless at the minute. So, and these again are Shirley Bryan yarns, and I love green. So I'll cut those in, and where you would normally take half, again, I'll take 3 stitches extra, top and bottom both sides, and do my heel. And I've written out all my instructions on my Ravelry page. I think it's called Sock Pattern Experiment 2, something like that. Yeah, but I need to do that. I need to put the heels in, and then I'll have a second pair of socks, and I can cast on another pair. I've got 2 more pairs, I've got 4 or 5 more pairs, but I've got 2 more pairs I've got to do this year. So tea update, bog standard tea, Yorkshire, wave and dip. Okay, there's only one other finished project, and sort of a fail, sort of a success. Some fail, some success. There's three items. They're crocheted items. And the idea was, so I bought 2 acrylic balls, and essentially, I haven't done anything with the ends. I created these little pouches. Because what I'm sick of is we have hats and gloves, and I like to keep them with the coats, and the problem is that there's nowhere to put them when you come in the door unless you stuff them into your coat. And I don't always want to do that. I want to be able to choose which ones I want to wear. So I saw this sort of pattern. It's just a standard create a circular base. Once you're happy with the depth of the dimensions of the base, you start just going round and round, and then you go backwards and forwards in this section, decreasing, and then you go round the edge and do the hanging loop. Now, this was the second one I've done. The first one I did was bigger. So I personally like this one. Hubby reckons it's a bit big and a bit doesn't sit against the wall. But this is a little bit awkward. Like if I want to put in, so in here I have my watch cap and watch mitts. And if I want to put them in the small one, it's just a little bit messy and a little bit big. See what I mean? So I think actually this is a better size. Yeah. So I'm thinking of doing a couple more. I've run out of wool at the moment. Oh well, it's just acrylic. It's just $5 Magnum from Spotlight. But I did do one more because hubby said, well, why can't you do a flat back, and so that we can hang them on hooks in front of the door. So I thought, oh, I'll try that. But this was a fail. It's just not good. So what I did there was I did a half circle, and then I went up. I think it's too wide for a start. Might be all right if you just did it like that. But then once again, I think it's too small. So then I went backwards and forwards, and then I crimped the top and I only finished this last night or the night before. But it doesn't look any good. It looks terrible. So I think that's a fail. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'll take it back to here and figure out what I do. So I don't have a pattern. I don't have a Ravelry page. I'm just experimenting. But I think I'm back at this. I think I'm back to this. I quite like these little baskets. And I thought when the little boys come over, they'll be quite good to put their hats and mitts in. Yeah, bit of fun. And I can hang them from my wool board or hang them from anything. You can hang them in your wardrobe if you need to. Yes, so that's all my finished objects. I have gone for 14 minutes. And I had my hat in one of them. That was my, what hat was that? The Shirley Bryan yarns with a bit of Zorba ball and what did I? The Musselburgh. It's a little bit big, that one. It's just a little bit big. Anyway, don't mess my hair up. So that's my finished objects. So let's move on. Okay, didn't finish my Miles shirt jacket. That was disappointing, but just didn't pick it up. So got a bit distracted. I had finished hubby's, excuse the creaking, I'd finished hubby's first sleeve. So I have started his second sleeve. And no fancy bags here. Here we go. So we're probably a third of the way in. I'll just do that every now and again when I can concentrate on getting all my cables the right way. One of the things I wanted to tell you about is I'm going to do a little video at some point about how I cable and how I keep count. So yeah, a lot of people say, oh, it's so complicated, but in actual fact it gets quite rhythmic, and so you can read your knitting and you can say, okay, I'm on that row, okay, I'm on that row. So and also I cable without a cable needle, and I'll move 3 and 4 stitches across each other with no hassle. I don't do it with a superwash yarn, so although having to think about it, I did all the Malabrigo Rios, I think that's superwash jumpers last year without a cable needle, and I'm certainly doing this one. This is Saven by Meghan Babin in the Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colourway Granit. So yep, one down. It was interesting to see the difference between the blocked and then the unblocked. So that's unblocked, that's been blocked to pattern and size, and if you compare it with that one, it looks quite different. Even the width of the cables panel. So if I line up the cable panel, it's quite different. Yeah, so yeah, so that was my progress on that, just steady as she goes. I think I'm just about to finish my second or third ball, but it's all done separately, so it's a little bit tricky. Hoping it fits. That's the Saven, so that one sits over there. Then the next one that I've been doing is so I have 1, 2, hang on, how many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whips, 5 or 6 whips I'm actively working on. I have a lot more whips than that, but 5 or 6 whips. So the next one was the jumper that will not be named. If you need details of this, it's in the last podcast, but because of its size inclusivity, I'm not spruiking it. You can see. Oh dear, excuse me. Yeah, so basically I finished a ball. I think I might run out of yarn on this, and if I do, I'll have to buy some more. I'm going to sneeze again. Oh dear. I'm holding in, making sure it's not a big display. So it's in Isager Ecosoft, which is absolutely soft and beautiful. I think it's an alpaca merino nylon mix, but that's just from memory. You can Google it. So what happened was I finished a ball, and so when I do that, sometimes I decide I'm going to do the sleeves, because when you have the sleeves done, it gives you the proper weight of the jumper on your body and shows you actually how long the body is. So I'm doing the sleeve. So that was a lot of night knitting. I haven't looked to see that I haven't made any mistakes. A lot of car knitting. Oops, I had to lose a stitch. lot of car knitting in that one. We had to go to Dunedin, which is about 3.5 hours drive away. So we did that. And I knitted largely this sleeve. So I'm not sure how far it's got to go. Not too far, down past the elbow. So I've got probably that much more, and then I have to decide whether I'm going to do a pattern. What I hadn't shown you on this was yarn dominance. So I'm an English knitter, so I use my right hand to knit, and when I'm doing colour work, there's most times I will wrap one around one finger and one around the other, and I think that's how I do it. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, the colour that pops out or is more dominant is always the one on my lower finger. So it's the one that's coming up and around the needle from the furthest away. So it's the underneath yarn. If you've got two yarns stacked on each other, this is always the dominant one. And what I wanted to show you was these little pops here. I wasn't thinking, and I didn't do the light grey as a dominant yarn. And so they certainly recess. I think you can see that. And I realised as I got down past them, I really couldn't see them too much. So when I got to this section here, I made sure that that light one was quite dominant and that the light would continue to be dominant. But when I got to this section here, I actually made sure the dark dots were the popping colour, the dominant colour. So I moved my dark yarn to my middle finger or to my lower yarn. So up here I'd forgotten, and my light colour wasn't the dominant colour. Down, once I got into here, from here, I let's make sure that's correct. So once I got into here, I made sure that was the light grey was dominant. Then I made sure the dark grey was dominant for these, and then again the light grey dominant. Then again the light grey dominant, light grey dominant. Down here, light grey dominant. Once again, dark grey dominant when I got to the dots so we could see them. Light grey dominant, and then light grey dominant, and then light grey dominant. So it did take a little bit of thinking about, which worked out quite well, and that's going to be a really nice jumper. Just wish it was in more sizes, and then I could spruik about it all over the world. So the name of it will be down below, and the designer. It's just I'm knitting the biggest size. It's ridiculous, but anyway, it is what it is. So I might run out of yarn for that one. I hope not. I'm running very tight, but if I do, I do. I'll have to order some more, so that's fine. So that's whip number 2. Whip number 3 that you've seen before. Hi Jen. It's my sister's cardigan. And I've just finished the right yoke. So essentially it's a brioche. It's my very first brioche project, and it's on 3mm needles. I love you lots, my sister. And you can see my increases, and I'm very proud of those. They look like tree branches. And essentially it then goes over and goes into this lovely line that sits behind the shoulder, comes down, and I will start the and it's got a double knit band which you knit as you go. So yeah, so it's got a double knit band, and oh, I made a mistake in the band, and I did a purl stitch, and so I dropped it all back and I videoed it, and it was about a 14-minute video of me fixing this mistake, and I thought, oh, that'll be really good, and then realized I'd videoed it on cinematic mode, so it was sort of going in and out of focus. I don't think I can use it, so I hope I don't make the mistake again, but if I do, I'll properly video the fix, and then you can see fix my makes. So I'm thinking of making that a bit of a theme. Fix my makes 23. So as I knit them or afterwards, I'm trying to think about how I fix my makes. So you can see that structure. It's lovely structure. So I'm about to pick up, where do I have to pick up? I have to pick up all down here now to this, I think it's to that one. I have to pick up to about there for the left yoke. So I'll start that in the next day or two, maybe this weekend. And that's coming along really nicely. That's in Ravelry Page. Got the ball bands, Fage 4078. It's not very useful. Ravelry Page Norwegian ball, and alpaca superlight, Lang alpaca superlight. It says 749.0026 28894. Once again, not very useful. 54% alpaca, 24% polyamide, and 22% wool. And their Ravelry is 100% Norwegian wool. So those two are what I'm knitting the... Oh, and I haven't actually said the name of the cardigan. The cardigan is the Agnete Cardigan, Agnete, Agnete Cardigan by Petite Knit. So really enjoying that. Would happily do another one, although not in a hurry because it's brioche on 3mm needles and it takes a lot of knitting. You've got to do 2 rows to get 1 V, which is challenging. All right. You've seen all those before, I think. Now I've got 2, so they're like 3 jumpers, and really that is enough to keep me going because I've got brioche, I've got cables, and I've got plain in the round knitting. So really I should be fine. But no, I think it's Lauren from the Knitting Narrative, or the Knit Narrative. I'll pop her Instagram down here. Said, hey, anyone want to cast on an Oslo hat? I'm just decided I'm knitting one. And I went, oh yeah, that'd be great fun. So I did 2 nights ago. I dug out some yarn and I cast on. And I'm nearly at the fold. So this one you fold, you connect the fold and then you knit up a little bit, then you turn your needles and you knit the other way so that your fold comes out as a cuff, and there's no rib. It's all stocking stitch. This was pooling a bit and I was a bit unhappy with the pooling, so really typical would be that base, the pooling here. And as I go round, there was another spot that it was really obvious. Probably there. Ooh, 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 ooh. Stop. Yeah. So it was sort of just, it was just moving around. The colour blips were moving around evenly, about 3 or 4 stitches on from the row before. So what I did about here is I started helical knitting. So I cut my skein in half. Well, it wasn't exactly half, but I add 2 on, and helical knitting is really super simple. It sounds really complicated, but essentially all it is chasing your yarn. So you connect in another strand, and you knit right round in the second strand until 3 stitches, or 4 or 2, whatever you like. But you've got to stop before you hit where you joined it in. And then you slip across those stitches. I'm just wondering where I am. Okay, so here's my yarn I'm not using at the moment. And how about I just, as we're talking about it, just knit up to that. So basically one chases the other, and you end up essentially with a spiral, which is what you end up with circular knitting anyway. You don't, even though you have a beginning of round, you don't really have, you know, your next stitch just goes up to the next round seamlessly without you seeing it. And that's why you get jogs when you have stripes. But helical knitting sort of creates a constant spiral. So you don't get, if you're doing 1 by 1, you don't get jogs in your stripes, because you are constantly chasing that other tail. So what you do is you knit until you get within a few stitches of, I'm not doing this very well, am I? Oops, I just kicked the camera. Okay, so if I swing round a little bit, my next yarn's there, so I've got about 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'll knit another 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now you'll see, I'll show you. So my working yarn's here. In 3 more stitches, I've got a new working yarn. So I'm chasing this row, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip through those 3 stitches. I'm going to drop my working yarn and pick up my new working yarn. So now I've got a row that's sitting behind my working stitches, and I've got a row, and I'm about to take off on the one that's ahead. So it's like if you imagine a relay race, and they're running around, person A runs around a track, but before they get to person B, B starts running, okay? And A just stops there, okay? And person B runs around the track, but before they get back to person A takes off again. So person A runs around the track, and then before they get there again, person B runs around the track. So essentially we're creating this spiral of 2. Anyway, I look like I'm doing bad ballet. So I'm helical knitting anyway. And so what it does do is it creates sort of a stripe when you're dealing with a speckled yarn. So you can see that row, that row, that row, and that row are all that lighter one, because they're at a different point in the skein. And I'm about, in the long run, when it's all folded and, you know, bits and pieces, you won't really see it that much, and that's fine. It's a speckled and hand dyed skein. It's spun right round, Squish DK, Care Bear Don't Care, I think is the colourway name, and I've had it for a couple of years, so which is good. yeah, don't have much else to say about that, except it'll be a nice squishy hat for me. I'm doing the women's size in the Oslo hat by Petite Knit, and it's spun right round squish DK that I'm knitting in on 112 stitches. So that, my friends, is whip number 1, 2, 3, 4, if you don't count the socks. Finally, before I did that, so last week, I got a bit influenced. Who was doing? It is a Sarah was doing Sarah from the It is a Sarah. It's a Sarah podcast, who is amazing. She does a podcast on a Monday and a Friday, and she does it in English and Dutch. Remarkable. So I watch her English version because I don't understand Dutch. And she is knitting a Remi Camisole, and she's knitted one before. It's by Kadri, and I've knitted other things by Kadri. And so I cast one on. I went and bought some yarn. Like I need to go and buy yarn, but this is actually Touch Yarns, and it's merino possum silk. And the idea of this is, I'm in a mess. It's 2x2 rib, people. 2x2 rib. What was I thinking? On size 3.75mm needles. And the DK hat is also on 3.75mm needles. I want this as an undershirt. So I want this as a warm singlet top. A warm camisole that I can put under my merino and wear with comfort. And I really enjoyed so you make each of the triangles down to the join, and you increase on one side first, and you could do provisional cast on, but I actually decided my provisional cast on would sit half a stitch off. So I actually did a pickup stitch there. So you knit 2 of the fronts, and then you pick up stitches, and you knit 2 matching backs. So I marked them and said what they were, and I think actually I've got it in, oh no, I've got it the right way around. Oh, I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, I hope I've got it the right way around. Crap. You know what? I've got a funny feeling. It won't worry me, but I have a funny feeling I've picked up the wrong way. Oh, don't you hate the dawning of something? Oh no. Talk about scare yourself. No, that's right. So the knit, it's knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and that's the right side. So I have knitted up the right side. I just thought for a minute that was supposed to be the right side, but actually that's the right side, and I've done it correctly. Whew. So I haven't really tried it on. I probably should. I was trying to get a bit of length in first. So this will be quite long, and it's lots of 2x2 ribbing, so I'm not going to finish it in a hurry. But I just pick it up every couple of minutes, or every couple of hours, and not every couple of minutes, every couple of hours, and I just knit a row or two, or knit a couple of rows, and it's actually just growing slowly. So I'm really looking forward to having that. So we'll see how that goes. So it's the Remi Camisole by Kadri, and it's in Touch Yarns. It's a 2x2 rib pattern, and now it's just 2x2 rib to the end. So that's the yarn. It's a fingering weight yarn. I probably, if I was wearing it elsewhere. I probably could have done with a little bit more negative ease. I probably made it a bit big, but it won't hurt because it's going to be underneath my clothes. It's not my sort of thing to wear outside anyway. I'm not quite. Maybe I am. I don't know. So that's the Remi Camisole. And yeah, very enjoyable knit, that one. So that's good. What else have I got? That's all my sort of Yip Yips. I was very happy the other day to, you know how I was whinging about, if you watched one of my last episodes, I was whinging about all these things I have that I don't wear because they're the wrong, I've done something wrong in them, whether it be the bands. And thank you so much. I've got some great hints on the bands for my cardigan particularly. And as I go to do my Miles shirt jacket, that'll be really good too. Yeah, so I've been really pleased with the comments, but I thought I'd tackle something. So last weekend I grabbed out my Lopi bulky vest and I shortened it. And I'll put some pictures up here of how big it was in comparison to some of my other knits. I don't know whether I've got a before picture. I might have on the actual Ravelry project. Oh, that's what I should have worn. So what I did was, this neckline was sitting way out on my shoulders. So I've done a single crochet around the neckline to pull it in, and it's pulled it in beautifully. Really happy with that. And then I have, I can't really, I'm not gonna stand up. But I'll pop a picture up here. Basically, I cut that much off it. So I just snipped one stitch, and it's Lopi, so it was a bit stuck together. So, but I pulled it and I undid it, popped it back on the needles. Sorry, I'm just got a bit distracted because I was trying to find the ball of yarn that I've retrieved. Here it is. So I ended up with a circular piece of knitting about that deep. Now it's supposed to have moss stitch. I wasn't doing moss stitch. So I did 2 rows of 2x2 rib and then just cast off, and it's great. It's the perfect length now, and I will wear it, and it's fixed and it's fantastic. I'm so happy. So yeah, I've got a little bit of Lopi yarn left if I want some for a colour work project or something else, I don't know. And yeah, how easy was that? Probably took me a couple of hours really by the time I fixed the neck and tried it on and checked something, and you know, I decided where to cut and ripped it out and put the stitches back on the needles. And I even took me ages to find the pattern that I'd used. It's just called Lopi Bulky Vest. It was a free pattern, I think. I don't even have a Ravelry page actually for it, so I don't have any early pictures of it. I did it years ago. Yeah, I can't remember when I first made this. No idea. So, yeah, first fix my make, 23, done. How good am I? So I was really happy to do that, and I was really chuffed, and I took heart, and people just said, good, go for it, just go for it. So I was really pleased with that. So thanks for the encouragement. I really appreciate that. So that's all my makes for now. I I was thinking about it. I've been so tempted to start another crochet blanket. Just trying to hold myself back and say, no, you've got multiple crochet blankets you have not finished. And I've got one here. I've got one in Australia. I've got the Bits and Bobs blanket here and an heirloom shawl here that I really need to, if I'm going to do anything, do that. So, I mean, I know you're supposed to do what makes you happy. All of those will make me happy. I just need to get over myself and say, no, you don't have to do every shiny new thing that comes along. So, yeah, trying not to get sucked in, because I know what'll happen. I'll do a third of it or a quarter of it, and that'll be it, and it'll go sit away for the next 5 years. But I need to pull one of those. When I feel that urge, I need to pull one of those projects out and start work on them. So I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a couple of rows on my family shawl or my actually, there's a really nice Granny Square Academy blanket. So Spin Cushions on Instagram, which is Shelley Husband. She is a brilliant crochet designer. She has a book called Granny Square Academy 1, and she basically takes you through so much technique in terms of reading your stitches, reading a chart, how to join rows, how to read your rows, and I need to do it more to like cement that knowledge. How to stitch in front posts, how to stitch in back posts, all that sort of thing. So, and she has just released Granny Square Academy 2. And I'm very tempted, Shelley, I will get it, but I need to finish my Granny Square 1 blanket first. I'm doing 5 or 6 squares of each of the squares and going to make a blanket out of it. So I must do that. I must get on and do that. So that'll be my crochet if I decide to go back to it and get inspired. The other crochet that I have got is I've got a Sophie's Garden, Sophie's Universe by Look What I Made, Deirdre. Oh, Deirdre. Deirdre has released another blanket that I so want to crochet. It's called Maya's Meadow, and she's having a Maya's Meadow Mal. Oh, I really want to put it on. So I really want to put that on the hook. I'm just holding off going, you haven't finished the first one. You know, you can't have your dessert before. And it's not like the first one doesn't give me love. I love doing it when I pull it out. It's just very big. My tension is very loose. So I think what I'm going to do is try and pull the 2 of those out and give them a bit of love, see whether I can motivate myself to fire away at them and do some more on them. The other one, so Granny Square Academy, Sophie's Universe, the Family Heirloom Shawl, and the other one I've got, which is currently on the needles here in New Zealand. So in New Zealand, I've only got the Granny Square Academy and the Bits and Bobs blanket. Now the Bits and Bobs blanket is a very interesting one, because here's me thinking I'm doing the pattern right and I'm doing it completely wrong. But now I've started doing it wrong and I've got 50, 60 centimeters of it wrong. I'm going to continue it wrong and it looks fine. So I'm more than happy with it. So basically I do a fisherman's rib one way and then a plain knitting the other way. And so you end up with a half fisherman's rib type finish. So I'll have to remember how I do it. I should write it down, shouldn't I? Oh dear. And yeah, so what's been happening? So got to get onto my blankets and finish the mild shirt jacket. I don't think I've got any other jumpers or anything I'm finishing, and I've got to get onto some socks. But in just under 2 weeks, we're due to go to Melbourne for Daryl's birthday, and then we go on to see our staff in the Philippines, and we're really looking forward to going to see them. And we haven't seen them since pre-pandemic, such a long time, and we're really hoping that we have a lovely time there. We've got 8 days in the Philippines, and then we've got another 3 days back in Melbourne, and then we bring back our daughter, son-in-law, and our 2 grandchildren for 2 weeks. They're having a holiday in New Zealand with us. It'll be a bit squishy. There'll be 6 people in the 3-bedroom house, 1 living area that we're in, and it'll be very crazy busy. So looking forward to that though. Take them up to the snow. Hopefully there's a bit more snow than there is now, and introduce them to New Zealand. So really excited about that. And what else has been happening? Just been having a few follow-ups and regular stuff, the women's things we need to do, and making sure medical checks are up to date, and got COVID vax yesterday and flu vax yesterday, and it's just really, I'd really encourage you wherever you are to make sure that you do all your screens and checks and vaxes. Make sure you're up to date, make sure you haven't put things off, make sure if something's bugging you, you go and get it checked out, and that's the main thing. So encourage you to go and do that, male or female, doesn't matter. We've both been making a point of, I've still got to go and order a skin check. So being of Scottish stock, an Australian of Scottish stock, I have a lot of skin moles that need and spots that need checking as I get older. So it's just really important to make sure you do all that, and make sure you get out and tick them off the list. And they're a pain, I know, but you never know when it will be the right thing to do. So yeah, so we've been following up that sort of stuff, enjoying the days, doing a lot of knitting, crafting, reading. Been reading the Ben Aronovich series, the Rivers of London series. I think I'm on number 6 at the moment, The Hanging Tree, I think. Ben Aronovich. Been enjoying that series, and I'm on Goodreads. If anyone's on Goodreads and I don't know actually what I am on Goodreads. I'll pop it down here so that you know where to find me. I'm ahead of schedule. I set myself a target this year of how much I wanted to read. I mainly do audible reading at the moment because I like to knit. And so if I'm going to knit or read, I tend to knit. So I can knit and listen as easily as I can knit and read, easier than I can knit and read. I know Nitty Natty does it, but I'm like, I just struggle a little bit. I think that's all. Hopefully the family is over their run of broken bones. So I had 2 sons with cracked ribs from their football. I had a daughter-in-law with a broken nose from basketball. And we had a grandson with a broken finger from stuck my finger in the door jamb when my mum didn't know it was there incident. So hopefully that's the end of our broken bones in the family. I've told them all, that's it, no more please. So they're all healing well, which is good, almost over it. And back to playing sport 2 out of the 3 are back to playing sport, and little Bear is doing very well with his finger. Yeah, I don't have anything else I think I need to tell you. If you would like to talk to me, ask me any questions you want. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks I'll put a couple of little fix videos up. I was going to show you, I'm going to record. So I've made a mistake in this one. Can you see my mistake? There. I've done a pearl, but I should have done a knit. So I'm going to record how I just drop that down, and I use a little crochet hook. What I actually use is a little tool, which I got just from Amazon, which I can't find right now, of course. Oh, there it is. Okay, little tool. It's got a little pokey end. It's got a little crochet end. And basically I will drop down to there, and then I will just use the crochet hook to crochet up a line of stitches, and it'll be all fixed. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Oh, I'm just going to video. I've decided I'm just going to video stuff, and it's just how I do something. It's not how you have to do it. It's not how it should be done. It's just how I fix things, or how I do cables, or how I untangle a mess, or whatever. So if you'd be interested in that, then please let me know. So if you, for some reason my videos aren't getting the reach that they were, and I'm not that stressed about it, but if you are watching, love you to press the like button. If you aren't subscribed, I'd love you to subscribe if you think the content was okay. And I just record my knitting life and crafting life, and I love to hear from everybody. At the moment I'm still able to comment and reply to most of you. Sorry if I've missed any. Hopefully I haven't. I will always put a heart and a like on my comments, and I just really enjoy interacting with everybody. So feel free to just write whatever you want. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me life or crafting. Tell me what you've had go wrong, or what's been a real win. Just let me know, and yeah, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'll try and do it from Melbourne maybe next time, in front of my new yarn wall. Bye. off it, and I've just done a little 2x2 rib for 2 rows and then cast off. And then it was very open, it was sitting sort of like this and would come almost to my shoulders right straight line. So what I've just done there is I've done one row of single crochet around the edge. I have wondered whether I should do it here to stop it rolling up. But I would normally wear this over the top of a long sleeve.